There we go. Welcome to Game 15 Loopers for Life here in the Tau Grace Marketing and Media Studio.
Yes, sir.
With my man, Cousin T-Rock from the block. What's up, T?
Good morning, Josh. What's happening?
Man, another beautiful day in Louisville, Kentucky. Very excited about just August. I love August.
It is August.
Yeah, I love the heat, humidity, and all the beauties.
But it hasn't been hot the last week.
It's been perfect. I mean, we
awesome.
needed that break, but, man, dude, I love August. Let's go. I mean, summertime at its finest. 2-day football practices going on.
That's right.
Golf tournaments everywhere.
That's right.
The ability to go out and shoot some basketball out in the middle of the field. You're chasing baseball. I mean, what a great month, man.
I love August.
I do too, and a lot of golf to be played in August. I mean, all the club championships are always played in August.
Point. That's right.
And so, I mean, it's kind of the pinnacle of the summer and your golf game, and I've always just thought that August is championship month.
It is.
Yeah.
I love me some August.
Yeah, I mean, because you win the football championships in August. You know that.
Well, that's right, with your whole 2-days.
Yeah, you got to be winning those, man. And then, quickly. Remember, and we're going to go off of golf real quick, but as a U of L, University of Louisville, and a University of Kentucky fan, remember how much fun it was when the Governor's Cup was the first game?
They got to get back to that.
The last game, and you understand why it's the last game because of the rivalry and all that. But that's only great in basketball here.
I totally agree, man.
But, man, when it was the first game in football,
so much hype.
It was the hype that you had for the 3 weeks leading up to that. And, I understand why they're not doing it, and obviously the college athletics and why they moved that. And there was probably, at that time, it needed to be moved towards the end to kind of create.
Yeah, but UK was for it and Louisville wasn't.
Yeah, that's is that right?
Oh, yeah. Huh? Yeah, they moved it because
it's because we play Tennessee and we're in the SEC. So y'all were in the Metro at that point in time, or the CUSA or whatever else that y'all were in.
It was probably the Big East at that point.
It was. But I always like to have the UK U of L football talk that would lead up into it because obviously it's. You get a lot of it at the very end, and there's probably going to be more meaningful games, but just for what it did for football in the state of Kentucky, I think it was huge.
Yeah, because you're right, because you had that conversation leading up to the tournament. So I had a conversation the other day with a buddy of mine who's a huge U of L fan, and we were scheduling some baseball, and we are like, all right, we're going to try to schedule around the 10 games. He's like, you know what, I don't care.
Yeah,
I just don't care anymore.
Right.
But if that was the first game, we would care.
Yes.
So it's a
you
great
had
point
to play,
you make.
You had to play in all events at a country club around the U of L. Especially for me, here in the city. University of Louisville home football games.
Yeah.
The UK ones, you really didn't care because, if you're going to miss my tournament to go to Lexington, and watch Kentucky football, that's your problem. As a Kentucky fan, I'm like, you're going to go up there and watch that? But, obviously it's in what they've done over the last couple of years with Mark Stoops and just the football, the excitement of football in August. You can kind of feel that. Getting ready for fantasy football.
Man, it's hard to be a UK fan, though, in the SEC because you're going to get beat up.
Not this year. It might be the year, man. We're always like the optimistic fan base that's looking and saying, hey, you know what? One day we will win the SEC championship. I'll tell a quick story. There was a certain member, not dropping names, but Kevin Aldred. Who was over at Oxmoor Country Club.
Big UK fan.
Big UK fan. And we were in the 19th hole afterwards after the game, and we're in there watching Sundays or something. And he goes, you know what? I would rather see UK win a SEC championship football game before UK wins the NCAA championship basketball title.
Wow.
Their teams. And this is before 2012, so we haven't won one in, since 98 or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, dude, you're cut off and you get out of this bar right now. You are out. Don't ever say anything like that again. But realistically, they have had, just in what they've done, a chance to win the East this year. There's a lot of turnover. They got a really good team. And Mark Stoops, hey, man, Yahtzee.
You got auto.
Yahtzee.
You got auto win when you play Louisville.
Well,
this
let's
year.
talk about golf. Let's not talk about UKU.
Hey.
I'm just excited about that. But there is a lot of things going on in the golf world.
There is.
And very first thing, let's start with the Kentucky Open. And our co-host, Joy Sears, is on the lake eating donuts. Deserves some time off from walking all the fairways.
Hey,
he's
some
been
history
walking.
made. How did we miss this guy?
JB Williams, nobody picked JB.
How did we miss this dude?
He won it in 2019. He won it in 2020. And guess what he did? He won it in 2021.
He just kicks everybody's butt. What I don't understand, though, is how's this guy not doing something out on the tours?
Well, that's
because I looked him up because I got curious. I was like, man, this guy's got to be good. He's got to be. He plays some South Florida tours,
right?
Playing those kind of those
probably
Florida
trying
golf.
to play on the Froma tour.
Yeah, but man, he doesn't do very well. I don't
amazing
understand
the game of golf, man.
But he comes in here and he just dominates.
He's definitely etched himself into the history of Kentucky golf.
Pretty crazy
for sure. I mean, 3-time champion.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, working there, I wasn't able to go out and watch a lot of it. Now, I did watch the last 3 holes coming down, and had a golf camp that week. Anyways, and so
well, and you had the Golf Academy's Clay Amlong,
right
and
there. Clay Amlong, and he was in the final grape.
Yeah.
I mean, Clay led the tournament pretty much from start to finish. He was tied for the lead. He was one behind, and then he played on top of the leaderboard, and he came down, and he was tied with the last 3 holes to play, and played awesome. I mean, his game was incredible, and we can talk about that. He hit a putt on, on 18 where they were all tied.
I saw the live stream.
Yeah.
He lipped it out.
Lipped it out. It was a 20-footer, and
Yeah.
he got caught by that little sycamore tree that's just to the left of the green there. Hit a bad, I wouldn't say it a bad pitch shot, but it was a pitch shot to 20 feet from 80 yards. So Clay, that was a bad pitch shot.
Yeah.
But I mean, he stepped up and hit a fantastic putt, and he played so good. That kid is University of Cincinnati. He's going to be a 5th-year senior with all the COVID happenings this year, or a senior anyways. And his best golf is definitely in front of him.
Like he is a grinder.
Yeah, and he made the U.S. Amateur in 2019, and from that experience has been, even with COVID last year, played in some really high-end elite events, and so he's got the world in front of him.
Sure.
And Brendan Doyle, as a professional, had the lead too.
Sure.
I mean, he was Joey Sears' guy who picked. He was right there and hit 2 bad swings.
Right.
That cost him the tournament. Led the field in birdies.
Right.
Made like 22 birdies, Teague.
It's crazy, man.
Out there
at Persimmon Ridge.
I
know.
Right.
Man.
How many drivers did they hit? Did you see that?
No. I mean,
they only hit 2.
Oh, that's
in
wild.
a course of and there's only 3 par 3s on this golf course.
Speaks to the length of these guys too.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and so they're playing the 18th hole, and this was afterwards. Corey and I have talked about this. JB Williams, obviously, as you had said, has not really taking this from here, there, anywhere, and so he's playing for $7,500 or $9,000 or $10,000 to winner check, and all he has to do is beat Brendan Doyle, right? Who he's got by 2 strokes.
Right.
Brendan's going for the green, and Clay is who he's tied with.
Okay.
Right. Clay is going for the green in 2. Corey goes, Josh, there is no way that I'm going for that green in 2. I'm just trying to beat my guy right there. He goes,
so
I would have looked over and said, hey, guess what, Clay? Congratulations.
Hey,
I'm taking this $10,000 check.
Hang on. So what we got to explain to the listeners here, so what you're talking about is Clay Amlong's an amateur. So
Correct.
So JB's playing for that check only against the professionals. So obviously he's got Doyle beat. So even if he doesn't beat Amlong, he's still winning that $10,000 check.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
I got you. All right.
And Corey was like, wouldn't you just lay up right here and just kind of say, hey, congratulations on winning the Open?
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, what would you do right there? And JB, I can tell you what he did. He stepped up and he hit a hybrid, and it was right in the middle of the green, kind of drifted over a little bit.
So he put it on there in 2.
Yes, sir.
But there's a lake right there.
Right there, yeah. And then, and it hung on the right-hand side.
And he was 15 yards from that lake.
He had a 2-stroke lead over Brendan Doyle. He had to make a birdie to put some pressure on. Now, again, I mean, and that's what we were talking about. I mean, and it just shows his guts, because you know what he went for? He went for the trophy.
I'm
and that's
for the
what
win.
you play for.
Well, I mean, look, he made some history winning this thing 3 times in a row. So,
We were all over that leaderboard except for JB Williams.
How do we miss that dude?
I have no idea. I mean, your guy Brandon Brown, he did play well.
Yeah,
he made the cut.
He did.
He came in there, and it's just fantastic to see the state of Kentucky golf. I mean, from all the collegiate players, University of Kentucky and going back, University of Kentucky, University of Louisville, fantastic golf programs.
Yep.
Really embracing the home state kid now and going after those kids. And, we've talked about this before.
They finally got rid of Crabtree. Now he's actually bringing in some players.
Well.
And then, if you're a Crabtree guy, but they finished 8th. Louisville finished 8th this past year in the NCAA championships, which is incredible.
Right.
Highest finish ever for them.
You're right.
And they had the guy that you picked in the Open lead them. Matthias Schmidt.
Right.
I mean,
from Germany, not Ireland.
Loaded. Yeah,
from Germany. He's a German, not an Irishman.
But Louisville was loaded.
And their women's golf program is even,
Yep.
even probably as solid as the men. And University of Kentucky the same way. I mean, they've obviously playing in the SEC, where home of the champions. I mean, that we all know it's the home of the champions. And when you have that, and even in the golf, I mean, that golf competition over there, and just that hot bread right there for them to be up in the top 5. That says a lot about where their program's going, both on the women's and the men's side.
No doubt.
So, game of golf in Kentucky is phenomenal, and I mean, it was a lot of fun. Really excited to see the development of Persimmon Ridge as it moves forward. Hosting this for another 2 years. New tee boxes are going to be built on 1, 10, and 8. They're already kind of currently in the plan right now, as Persimmon is building a 6-hole golf course, a little executive course, right there, Teague, right in between the putting green, hole number 8 and hole number 9.
Okay.
So when you are on top of that hill and you look down, you can see now the pond on hole number 8.
Is that something you guys will have access with the Golf Academy?
Oh, I'm sure not.
Gotcha.
Like, you guys stay away. I mean, I am sure that's not happening. But I mean, it is.
Now
something
wait a minute. So
it's going to be a 6-hole kind of little short executive, longest hole maybe 125, kind of like the Cradle and the Old Stone thing. But I mean,
awesome.
Teague, it looks phenomenal.
Who's designing it?
I think it's.
Is Craig's just doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's got somebody that worked at design up. They didn't ask me if you were asking. I mean, I was available. I mean, I was right there. I mean, and I may go out there and walk the grounds with them and kind of give them some insights. And but it's going to be a special place because I mean, it's going to be for the memberships. I mean, can you imagine after you get done and then just overlooking it now from that veranda? And I mean, and as the clubhouse there at Persimmon Ridge, it sits up on that hilltop, and now you can see all the way over to Oldham County and Shelby County. I mean, it's pretty.
Are you saying that Persimmon Ridge is hosting the Open for the next 2 years?
Yes, sir.
So they got it 3 years in a row.
They got a 3-year
first
contract.
time they've ever done that. I guess, right?
I mean, and I think that's something that the Kentucky Golf Association and the KPGA and everybody that puts this thing on is looking. Obviously, to move it around, but as they move it around, it's a lot more easier to attract quality fields if they're centralized.
Which obviously Louisville centralized.
Yeah, and Lexington would be centralized.
Sure.
And, I mean, you could even do it if you wanted to down in Bowling Green.
Sure.
I mean, and you could pool those 3 areas and have people come and every 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But for Persimmon Ridge and for the golf, the golf course is just as we have talked about before, the ranking of it and where it was.
Right.
Only hitting 3 woods or 2 drivers in the course of 15 opportunities to play.
It's crazy.
It is crazy out there, and being able to go 14 under par out there and not hit any bunkers or anything like that. I mean, is again, Now
is JB Williams really long? Is that his thing?
No, his thing is that he just does it. I mean, he just hits a ball in the middle of the fairway and in the middle of the green. And obviously, when you have the ability to shoot 12, 15 under, you have the ability to roll rock. And he's a really good putter. I mean, the 3 holes that I watched him play,
right?
He rolled one up there really close that wasn't a great shot in, but looked like he was going to make it. Next hole, he got the ball up and down on 17, and then on 18, took the gamble and hit that.
Yeah.
Hit that hybrid in there and hit a quality shot. I mean, it just right in the center of the green, kind of leaked right. I'm sure he was a little anxious for a minute, but then rode up a casual 45-footer for about half a foot for the win. Speaking of that, did you see the putt yesterday in the Monday qualifier? or 2 days ago, where the guy shoots 65. Justin Warren.
Oh.
It's an off-site. It's an off-site PGA Tour.
So hard to watch.
Barracuda. It's the Barracuda Championship. I mean, this is in. I have no idea where this is, which is kind of surprising because I got a lot of notes. But he missed a one. He shoots 65. He's got his name's Justin Warren, 24 years old, just to move on. And he misses a 1 foot.
It was less than 1 foot, I think. I mean, it was a tap in.
Yeah, and he didn't just like walk up and miss it. He replaced his ball down. And missed it.
I don't know if that was a yip or what, but man, I tell you what, looking at his face after the fact, God, I felt bad for that guy.
Unbelievable.
I mean, the pain, pain in his face,
unbelievable.
Was just,
I mean, it just says so much about the game of golf.
I felt
mean,
for him,
oh yeah, and obviously it's going to be a learning opportunity. And if he's shooting 65 on Monday qualifiers, just like when we spoke to the Monday Q dude, I mean, he's going to be making a name for himself, and he's going to be playing in the game of golf for a long time. Hopefully, he learns from that. He qualifies. You gotta, if there's karma. Out there, which we know there is because John Rahm proven it, right? I mean, he proved it with the U.S. Open. Yeah. But hopefully this guy gets it and gets a Monday Q in there.
God, that was hard to watch.
It was.
Terrible. I mean,
have you ever missed a 1 foot putt?
Oh, of course.
Everybody's missed a 1 foot putt. How do you miss a 1 foot putt though?
I don't know. I tell you what though, I don't know that I've missed it in a large event
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I trust me, I've missed a ton of them just playing around, but I don't know that I've missed one that short.
Right.
When it comes to when it's on the line, the guy behind him, his eyes got real big and was like, "Oh my God, he just missed," and you could tell that, like, it was just awful.
Well, let's go. Let's hopefully that he kind of comes back on that.
Did you see that Johnny Manziel shows up? He's playing in an event, played well. But he shows up with shorts.
Johnny Football?
Johnny Football.
See, this is August. I mean, we're here.
Yeah. So you're right. He shows up to shorts.
I did not see
He
this.
rolls up party city, right?
Well, he's Johnny Football. That's
he's
what
Johnny
he does.
Football, right? So he rolls up at the last second. They're worried about him being there. And he's got shorts on. And they're like, Johnny, you can't play with shorts on because this is a professional event. So anyways, he runs into the shop, finds some pants, throws them on, comes out, and I think he fires a pretty good score. I need to figure out what he shot, but I think he played well.
Right.
Johnny Football.
That's awesome. No, I did not hear that. And that was just recent?
Yeah, that was this past week.
That's pissed me. He's an interesting character. I thought he was going to try to play baseball for a while.
He's trying to be a golfer now.
No, so he's going from football to baseball to now just rolling up onto the golf course with a six-pack.
Yeah.
He will have a sponsor for sure.
No, he
probably has $1 million just on Instagram fame money. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, just think about how much money that guy gets to party.
That's a really good point.
I mean, how much money does he get to party?
People miss that because you have all these influencers that make a ton of money. Well, these athletes, I mean, Johnny Manziel is an influencer. He's got the following, so
right.
he's making money on Instagram. He's making money on social media for sure.
That's as you're in this game, I mean, and kind of let's talk about just real quick. What do you think about all the NCAA changes that they've made towards this? I mean, and the new rules are coming forth.
It's kind of crazy. So a buddy of mine, a guy named Joey Wagner, killing it. Killing it in marketing, right?
Right.
He's got a marketing agency.
Marketing.
Agencies. Well, he had a marketing agency called the Jay Wagner Group, and he had a lot of business. A lot of people were coming to him because he's well connected, really good at what he does. Up and quits.
Yeah,
threw it all out the window
to
go start basically a sports agency.
So that's what it is, right?
To handle these NIL deals, and then which is crazy. This guy didn't want to be named, but he is an assistant basketball coach at the University of Louisville. And his quote to me was, everything changed overnight. So it's not about me trying to convince a kid to come to Louisville. All they want to know is what kind of deal I can get them. So now I've become a broker. So I've become the assistant coach for basketball, but now I've got to figure out how to get a business deal for some dude looking to come to play here.
Well, I think, the most of it is you're not going to see McDonald's sponsoring all these kids. I mean, I've seen some out in the Midwest where they're getting some of their local food chains and all this, but just the money that they're going to make from the influencing and the social media side of it alone is what's going to be interesting to me.
Yeah.
Especially as it plays out. And I mean, a guy like Joey Wagner, who, his company is going to be ultra successful for sure.
For sure.
And, already a head step in the right direction and embracing it and helping making it happen. And I was really, proud to be a Kentuckian to see both sides of the Republican and Democrats in our state say, hey, you know what? Let's be the leaders in this, because obviously they love U of L and UK.
Right.
It's not football that they love. I can tell you that right now, but it was at the first game of the year on Labor Day weekend.
Well, it used to be.
But I mean, just in having our two prime universities that represent basketball and everything that's right in Kentucky, be the leaders in this in the NCAA. I'm really excited to see how this shakes out.
I think it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of money's out there necessarily for these people, for your fringe athletes, but we'll see. So let me ask you this as a UK fan. So we hit on the UK U of L thing. Do you think Louisville should be penalized majorly for doing something that's legal now?
Oh, from 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, of course. I mean, because there's laws there at that point in time that were broken, or rules. And I mean, and so you can't just go back. I mean, the history of America right now, we're going to go back and let them go. So, I mean, but I definitely think that, during that period, that if the rules were broken and, the discipline was handed out, you can't go back and do anything about that. Now, what is really bad about that is that everything that University of Louisville did to say, hey, here it is.
Right.
This is what we did.
Yeah.
And they're the only ones that truly stepped up and gave up.
Yeah.
Some of the things
wiped
they have
the
gotten,
slate clean
and got the black eye.
Yeah.
And the 3 to 4 other universities that have, that were involved, and probably even and just
Arizona,
equally as big.
Kansas.
What have they gotten?
Nothing.
I mean, nothing. And
Nothing.
I mean, and they were probably even more of a culprit than
than Louisville.
The only reason they weren't is because Louisville had a banner.
Yep.
And I mean, and so I mean, and I think that's where during
that's
time,
interesting.
That's just my thought. And I mean, and so I know they won the game.
But with this whole
Michigan was your national champions.
Come on now. So, but with this whole SEC thing, with Texas and Oklahoma coming over,
wow,
I mean, crazy,
dude.
But I mean, that's the first step of the NCAA going away.
Well, let me tell you this: Texas and Oklahoma coming over for the golf.
Oh, it's crazy.
Lord have mercy.
I know.
I mean, now
because those are two. That's solid
you
programs
just brought
right
in
there.
two of
the top 5 programs.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no doubt. Oklahoma State and Oklahoma.
Right.
I mean,
Oklahoma State's really good.
You kind of got to group them together as you look at top 5 programs. I would have to say. I mean, they wouldn't want to be grouped together right there.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to give them the props for both of them they're one of the best. I mean, both the universities are. They could both those universities would be in the top 5 of college golf. Who would be the top 5 of college golf?
Well, Standard's number 1. Stanford,
yeah. They get Tiger Woods, y'all. Tiger Woods.
And then, man, I think you got to look at some of your West Coast schools. So
UCLA,
California,
I mean,
California,
I would say,
Berkeley,
well, yeah.
San Diego State,
Arizona State.
yeah.
I mean, and then you go into this side, Wake Forest, North Carolina.
Yeah,
Georgia Tech. I mean, that's going to be a different topic. I mean, we got a lot of stuff to go on.
Yeah,
let's move off that. But I'll tell you what, them coming into the SEC on the golf side,
crazy,
and just this total shake-up of dynamics that's going to happen from the marketing down. I mean, Texas was the first one to start at the cable network.
Yeah,
and then that started the Big Ten. That started the SEC. That started the ACC network.
Yeah.
What they did, and I mean their power and influence is incredible. And I mean,
money,
and so all these universities are going to go down to the Power 5
Yeah.
somehow. I mean, they're going to be 20 deep.
Well, they talked about the Big 12 and the Pac 10. whatever the pack, whatever. They're talking about combining as well.
Right. They're going to be 20 deep. Well, let's move on to talk about a golf relevant event that was in the world, and something that we just got to highlight early in this thing is Annika Sorensen's return to competitive golf.
Yeah.
She's played a couple of times leading up to this tournament, and it was the USGA Women's Senior Open. She has played on the LPGA, just kind of prepping all the way up to this. First time playing in the USGA Senior Women's Open. I think this is the third year that they've actually had the tournament. But Annika is a 3-time USGA champion on the U.S. Women's Open, and she got a 12 under par at Brookline Country Club and just dominated the field start to finish. And what a great story for the game of golf. I mean, coming back.
Yeah, man. All right.
She's the greatest player ever played the game.
Okay. Who did she beat?
A bunch of old ladies.
I mean, right?
I mean, come on.
Right?
Yeah, she beat a bunch of old ladies. Hey, but you know what she's going to get? She's going to get back into the field for all these events. I mean, the U.S. Women's Open again.
Now,
I mean,
that would be cool.
So I think that what this is doing is laying the groundwork for her to go out and play a semi-active tournament schedule moving forward.
I would love to come see her play the regular LPGA.
I would definitely watch Annika if she ever came somewhere near Louisville.
All right, so
would love to go see that.
I watched 10 minutes of this, right? And so the only thing I saw other than Annika winning was Lori Davies, right? Do you remember her?
Oh, do you? She's one of my favorites.
All right, so they spent
the great mama, the great mama of Britain.
She's on a tee box, right? And she literally takes her putter and digs out a hole, okay? Pulls it out with her hand, and then takes her driver and smashes it down and creates this giant divot behind where she tees it up. And then she tees it up, and they're like, look at the precision she's taking. It's like she's ruining the tee box.
She would.
It was crazy. I'm sitting there watching that, like, what is she doing?
She has always done it to where she walks up and she, being a Brit. She would, obviously playing on all those firm courses over there, hit a lot of 3 woods and run it. She would always hit down and make the divot and put the ball on top of that.
Right?
Yeah. I didn't see that, but it's hilarious that she's still doing it.
Oh, it's awful.
She was one of the most dominant players that ever played the game on the women's side, and that lady has done a remarkable job for the game of golf. I guarantee it in the world.
This is going to come off as a hater, though, Josh. But did you look at these scores? So Annika, awesome, 12 under,
right.
Love it.
Right.
Closest to her was 4 under, somebody I've never heard of. But then, you make the cut being 20 over par.
Bro, Brookline Country Club's hard.
Yeah, but come on,
there's
man.
a lot of hills. You think the USGA made them walk, or did they get to ride their cart?
They walk.
I want to know if they had if the Senior Women's Open, if they had all the cart, the cart seat covers, if they have that, if they had the cart seat covers and they were out there riding on the golf course, I would have paid admission to watch that right there.
I'm gonna get. Betty's gonna slap me, or somebody's gonna hit me. But Annika needs to go play in the regular LPGA.
Oh, she's gonna.
That I'm digging.
Yeah,
right. I'm into that.
Right.
I'm into that.
Right. Well, I think that, it's great that the USGA gave the women's game the proper due respect on that. So, I mean,
they
having
did,
a senior championship.
They did.
Because, I mean,
on TV.
Right. It's TV. It was great coverage. I mean, fantastic facilities. Annika's back, and I'm excited because that's going to get her into a lot of the LPGA events. And I do think that she's going to play a little bit more regularly as she moves through. I mean, she spoke about how meaningful it was to have our kids watch what she has always done. And it'll be interesting ride to see that out. Now, hey, we are quickly going to move on to another topic before we get to it. And our final topic is golf in the Olympics. Teague, did you watch any golf in the Olympics?
I watched a little bit.
Have you watched any Olympics?
Yeah.
Have you?
I tell you what, though, I read where NBC paid $7 billion to have
$1 billion
for the rights for the Olympics, right?
Billion.
They're going to lose big.
Oh,
because
yeah.
the way that they've covered this thing's just been weird.
Well, I mean, it's not 13 hours in advance. I mean, so a day ahead, and it's very hard to know in today's world exactly what is happening.
Yeah,
and then watch it play out 13 hours later.
I have watched quite a bit. I like watching the track. I like watching
love
some of
the
the
track.
swimming. I mean, really all of it. I mean, my son is infatuated with handball now. He wants to
That's
create a
awesome.
handball league.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
It's like, I mean, I do like watching
I
it.
like fencing. I watched that. That
I
girl
don't
from
understand
Lexington
that.
fencing. I mean, you know, it's
Yeah,
on guard.
I right, but I want him
Right.
to get hurt. It's like that little, I don't know.
Well, it's like Puss in Boots. I mean, you will fight me. No,
But I watched very little of the golf. I watched some. I thought it was interesting kind of hearing McIlroy's comments, JT's comments, and like, hey, I was kind of against this thing, but now might be the greatest golf
the
tournament of all
quotes.
time.
Right.
I thought that was kind of neat because
Right.
to me, playing for my country would be huge. So I appreciate that they see the value in that now.
Right. And I think that, you know, for golfers, they're on the international stage so much that they're traveling around representing their country.
Right.
And, I mean, and they bring them in and they show the flags, especially when they're on the European tour
Yep.
and such. So I think that, you know, you always have that feel coming in, but when they go and get the experience of it and they see the guys that are in track and field, that are in fencing, that are in swimming, and, you know, that is the pinnacle of their sport.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately it's those 4 years. You're working to get, you know, have a chance to be on that team, have a chance to throw those rings up on any part of your body. I mean, the only tattoo I would ever have in the world would be an Olympic ring tattoo.
Yeah.
And I need to do it like Roy Sabatini. So I'm
Yeah.
going to, like, if I was
Hey.
good enough, I would say, hey, I'm going to Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe either, and you know what I would do? I want to go and get on the Trinidad and Tobago 3-on-3,
There you go.
3-on-3
There
Olympic
you go.
basketball.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I know it. It's so, you know, and then Roy Sabatini.
Hey.
I mean, and so look, we're going to talk a little bit about this Olympic experience, and I think that you hit the nail on the hammer with like Rory McIlroy first. Though.
Right.
I mean, you know, him not being able to, you know, basically declining to play in the 2016.
Yeah, just like, yeah.
But I think it was a little political too. I mean, that was the whole Northern Ireland thing, and now you
That's
had them
fine.
all play from the, you know, Irish continent, and so, you know, he represented Ireland. Which, if you're in Northern Ireland, I know they don't like each other still, probably,
Right.
But you're still Irish,
Yeah, right.
right? So, I mean, you know, you qualify for Ireland like that.
You're still pulling
Now,
for Rory.
yeah, and his quote, I mean, just so long. I mean, you know, he just my favorite thing, and I even wrote it down. The Olympic spirit definitely bit me, and I'm excited about what I'm going to do in the future.
Yeah, I thought that was cool to
Yeah.
see, and it wasn't just him. There's a lot of guys
Yeah.
that were like, "Man, this is cool." This is
JT,
great."
I'm going to give you a quote. I mean, again, it's so different. It was cooler than what I thought. I was here. Period. Definitely thought it was going to make sure that it was going to better. Whoa, see, I need my glasses, bro.
Man.
My bad. Right, yeah, there. It's so different. It's cooler than I thought. I thought I would be. Oh my God, I can't even read this. Coolest thing I've ever been part of in my life
There
is
you
what
go.
he said. I
There
mean,
you go.
know, and then that's Lord have mercy. I
I-
can't
I-
read my writing.
I tell you
Where's my
what.
glasses, Teague?
So we were all over Shoffley.
Yeah,
So we picked Shoffley to win. We actually had third place too. So if you were paying attention, now you could have made. And actually, I think my dad did make a little bit of money on DraftKings this past week. He's the one that gave me Shoffley. You picked Shoffley too, though.
right.
But if you saw Rory Sabatini finishing as the silver medalist, we need to hang out with you because
Right.
that dude coming out of left field, and that was kind of fun to watch because he was in it, man. He was fist pumping.
Well, he's
his
a very
wife
fiery guy
His wife
anyways.
was caddying every
Right.
time she'd jump up and scream. It was pretty cool to watch him.
So his story was good too. I mean, and hopefully I can tell it better than what I just told JT's quote. But his story is pretty cool. I mean,
Right.
you know, he's a South African. He's always been a fiery competitor.
Yeah.
Married a Slovakian. You know, his wife is Slovakian, and her cousin runs the Slovakian Golf Federation.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
he gets dual citizenship, and he plays under the Slovakian flag. And he did it for the game of golf to try to help grow the game.
in Slovakia.
Yeah, and we've talked about, you know, the lack of golf courses in Russia and what was formerly the Communist Party. But I think that was an interesting thing to see him on top of the board because he has not played well. I mean, the guy is 208th in the world.
Right. No.
I mean,
yeah.
you know, or 200, you know, he's
Yeah,
above
he-
200.
He hadn't done much.
He hasn't done much. I mean, but to be able to come in there and grab that medal, and the interesting thing, he shoots 61. Shoots 61 that
Yeah.
final round.
Yep.
And had the worst warm-up of his career. Right beforehand, had 2 bogeys. He said that was the worst warm-up that he's had in his career.
When you say warm up, so like on the range,
On the
just-
range
okay.
prior to playing, he went and warmed up. Now, he actually just, you know, said I was terrible.
I've been there, done that.
Yeah, and
I've gone on the range. I can't even hit anything.
Well, how about when you go to the
ball,
range and then you just pure, then you go on to the golf course?
That's
and
the
you're
norm. But it's when you go to the range, you can't hit it out of your shadow and then go play well.
Well, his story was great, and and it was a true Olympic story. And then you got the story of the guys, the Lees, that were trying to make the cut so they didn't have to go serve in the South Korean military. Right there, one of them got into contention. Hideki Matsuyama playing for a medal. He was in the final game.
Missed a tough
putt right there. And then just the playoff that it served for the bronze medal.
Yeah.
There was a 7-man playoff that CT Pam won.
Yeah.
And, the names that he beat was Paul Casey, Hideki Matsuyama, Roy McIlroy, and Colin Morikawa.
Yeah, some big names there.
That were playing for the bronze. And I think that's what's the coolest thing about, like, the Olympics versus the majors. I'm just going to say the Olympics versus the majors, okay? All right. We know who won the green jacket. We know who won the U.S. Open. Tell me who came in second. Tell me who came in third. Nobody. But you know what? These guys not trying to get going home with a silver medal for second.
Remember that.
Going home with a bronze medal.
That's a good
being
point.
a medalist at the Olympic.
It's a good point.
That's money. And that's why you see all these guys just really excited about, having the game of golf. And what it has done for the game of golf is phenomenal in my view. Because, again, we know that the game is an international game. There's a lot of great players from certain areas that have brought it. But when the Olympics, when you put those 5 rings on and you bring your sport into that, and you're seeing that with all the new introductions to some of these sports that are coming out, skateboarding and blah, 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 surfing, which is all great. For that respective sport, guess what? It's going to make a world of difference. And so what it's doing for the game of golf, Slovakian Golf Federation.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, he has inspired some golfers over there by finishing as a silver medalist for sure. A pretty cool deal, man. And look, the Olympics is one of those things. It's only every 4 years, so the value of that tournament's pretty huge. And I was really glad to see some of the biggest names in golf embrace it and talk about how cool it is.
Well, Xander, who hasn't won on the PGA Tour since 2019. And so this was a big one. He's been in the top of the majors, and we've talked about his top 10 and all of his playing, his playing accomplishments. But one of his quotes, and I think I can read this one, it says, "Probably more pressure on this event than any other event I've ever played." So, again, you're playing for your country. You're playing for everything that matters, because that gold medal or that silver medal, that bronze medal, it doesn't matter. You just want a medal.
Right.
At the Olympics. And so, again, I'd be tatted up if I was in there. Trinidad and Tobago, 3v3. You on the team?
I
think we go down there.
Playing.
We get one of the big.
We got to get somebody big though. We got to get a center.
We need a center, and we need Mike Hogan from the Ascension League. He never loses over there. That dude would take him. Yeah, he can go clean some carts too. So another exciting week at the Olympics, and at Kasami Gasaki Country Club. It's going to play 800 yards shorter. There is a big contingent of American players that are playing this week. The Quarter Sisters are in there for the ladies. And now speaking of the women's Olympics golf real quick.
Is Annika playing?
Annika is not playing, but I'll tell you what, 4 years she might be. But Nellie Corda, Jessica Corda, Daniela King, and Lexi Thompson are representing the U.S. of A.
Okay.
So you would like to see another American. I like to just see a clean sweep. And then obviously on the other side of the Japanese Sea, you have the South Korean contingents. They're the only other country that has 4 players that are in there, highlighted by MB Park, who was a gold medalist back in 2016. So you see that it's going to be a shootout over there. I think it's going to be, again, I think you'll see really quality golf shots. The golf course I thought was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really looked good.
Oh, yeah. The golf course looked great. It looked like a stateside course to me.
Sure did. One of the calls Paul Azinger took first round I watched, Steve Flesh called in and said Japan has the best greens in the world.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, who knows that fact?
Yeah. Well, Steve Flesh, he can putt.
He could putt, and he played in Japan a lot. And the Japanese tour, we spoke about that, and I guess that's the reason why all those guys were good, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So it'll be interesting to watch, and I'm looking forward to watching this. There is more of the top 50. I think there's 60 players in the field. There's more top players representing their country in this than there were on the men's side.
Interesting.
So I think, there might be 25 of the top 50 in the world or 40 in the world or
Right.
something like that. There's a lot of great players that are here. And again, you're playing your golf ball, and obviously you're playing for the dub. But more importantly, that gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal is going to play out. So
Hey, so there is a stigma of Japanese golfers, right? So back in the day, you would see a Japanese golfer hit it in the fairway, and they'd run to their ball, and then they take forever to hit it. But then they'd run. They played really fast. Do they play faster in Japan than they do in the States? Do you know?
I do not know. I always that stigma. I thought you was just going to talk about the lunch break, that it would be in between. Because when I was looping, you would get that.
Yeah. No. But they play really fast. They've known to be fast players.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if the pace of play is faster over there than it is here.
I don't know.
I'm going to look that up.
I looked at it's speed golf. I mean, they take enough running, but I mean, obviously going up to their ball and taking the time. Is that what you said? They would run?
but they run. They take forever to hit it, but they
Right.
run to their ball.
I just remember when I was caddying, they would, you would always have like kind of the lunch break. And it wasn't a hot dog and a candy bar and a soda pop. It was sit down and have 45 minutes in there and actually, have a lunch break. So you're like, man, that's an hour on this round there. Come on, let's go.
Right.
All right. So speaking about let's go on, I mean, the Olympics, and going one more time, I had the worst quote ever on JT. My bad, JT, roll tide. But it was incredible for the game of golf, and I just hope it continues forth.
Agreed.
As the Olympics goes forward. So let's move into our final talk.
You hit. I want to mention, because you hit on it. The two guys that didn't medal, now they got to go serve 18-month military requirements.
At some point in time.
Be happy you live in the States.
All right. For sure.
I mean, because think about these guys are at the top of their game, right? They're professional athletes competing with the best in the world, and they're going to have to give that up for 18 months.
What about the story about the gymnast who's, from Yugoslavia, one of the Russian, I can't remember, Croatia or something like that. I mean, it's just, a lot of stuff that you're right. You got to be thankful that we live in the States, we can do it, but even more thankful for the guys that volunteer to go out there and serve our country.
Amen.
And, do what they do in both the home and abroad.
Amen.
Amen. I mean, on those guys,
Yep.
guys and girls, I mean, they are incredible.
No doubt.
So, speaking of which, let's go into a big military town, Memphis.
Yeah, there you go.
Memphis.
FedEx.
We are back in
St.
another
Jude.
international tournament right here. This is the St. Jude, FedEx St. Jude Invitational League.
Right.
It's at TP Southwind, which has been a long-time tour stop on the PGA Tour coming through. So, did you ever play there?
No.
Justin Timberlake's involved. I mean, he's the man. I've never played there either. I've heard great things about it. You know who was a co-designer of this golf course?
No idea.
Fuzzy.
Was he really?
Yeah, I was. There's some designed by Ron Pritchett.
He's
and
designing vodka.
He had two PGA Tour advisors on there, Hubert Green and Fuzzy Zeller.
Good for him.
Remember
Fuzzy.
Hubert Green?
I do remember Hubert Green.
He was a good player, man.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you always had the green glove on. I mean, he played to the colors back in the day, and obviously Fuzzy. I mean, being somewhat
That's
near
awesome.
the area,
I had no idea.
Fuzzy made a lot of good golf courses.
That's good for him.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it goes along with those vodkas. But
That's right.
hey, JT,
Our
ruined his quote. I ruined his quote, but he is our defending champion.
champ.
So the field is elite. This is the type of field, Teague, that I'm good at picking at.
Okay.
You know why? Because I'm going to take everybody in at the top of the board.
And there's no cut?
No cut.
Yeah.
So another event that JT plays well in. I mean, and so again, we talked about that weeks prior of him having wins in no cut events.
Yeah, I tell you what though, he's not putting this year like he has in the past.
Right, and that's been what's held him back. I mean, and we say held him back. I mean, he's got a TPC a Players Championship this year, and I think another tour win. So I mean, he's had a very successful year, and coming off the Olympics where he was 10 under par, a couple out of the playoff for the bronze medal. But a lot of quality players, a lot of players making a return from the Olympics that are in this field. You also have a lot of.
So my gut is that when you're coming back from Japan, and you are coming back from the Olympics, which is a humongous operation, Is there not some jet lag? Is it not tough to come play in this next tournament?
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting play right there. And I mean, and that's where I was going. There's a lot of players that were the top players in the world that didn't go and play because they just didn't qualify per the world rankings.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I think that's what's going to be really intriguing is seeing, how those guys perform versus the Olympians.
That's what I'm curious about. I want to see how these guys can come back from Japan, obviously being on the other side of the world, different time zones, different everything. Can you reacclimate yourself quick enough to come compete at the highest level? I don't know.
I think the one who has the distinct advantage to do so is Hideki Matsuyama this week. I mean, he's
used
based,
to traveling.
Yeah,
like
he's
this.
used to traveling, and he was home based in Japan for a month leading up to the Olympics. He's now coming off his play. Probably a little disappointing, but coming in and he could probably handle that difference. All these guys they fly around the world in private jets. I mean,
right.
It's
so
very international. They're used to doing this. This is what they do.
I agree with you, but I still think the Olympics is different.
Oh, I agree. I mean, and that's where, this is getting defined. I mean, again, like JT said, I mean, now little kids are going to be on their, final on their putting green, and their last putt of the day is not to win the Masters. It may
win
be
the gold medal.
Win the gold medal.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what Xander had.
Yep.
He didn't know that Roy Sabatini was going to come in from Slovakia.
Right.
Shoot
right.
61.
Right.
He watched him warm up. He was like, this dude's a chop. I got him.
He go break 90.
I got this guy.
Right.
But, I mean, those guys coming back, I think Hideki Matsuyama has the best chance to play well this week. You look at this golf course, the familiarity with all the players that are in the field have played this multiple times. Phil Mickelson, who has played well here, multiple time winner of this event.
Tied for runner-up last year.
Right, and I think that you're going to see those now. Also, too, is this the one where we get the Brooks Bryson? I mean, these are the type of things that I'm looking at because the pairings right there. Brooks is playing behind Bryson off number 10 tee. Should be an interesting 2 days or I don't know how they do the pairings. Maybe they don't do it where it's both days. I would say they still do.
Yeah, I think
even though there's not a cut, and then they just repair after 36 and after 54, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think they would do that too. So, it'll be interesting to just see how all the guys that didn't play versus the guys who did play, because I agree with that.
I don't know. I'm not sure. And to your point, they travel nonstop. My gut is on the gambling side here. I think you stay away from some of these guys.
Yeah.
Because they just played the Olympics. That's just my thought.
So who you like this week?
I'm going to take Scheffler to win.
Okay.
I think he's always been, man, he's just his pedigree's up there. He's a tough, great player. He's always there. I feel like it's time for him to kind of step up and win one of these big ones. I like Daniel Berger. Daniel Berger finished tied 2 last year, loves this golf course. And then from a guy that has not played well here historically that you need a long shot, I think is going to do well is Lucas Glover.
Oh, good plays right there. I mean, and Lucas having a career, come back this year and making some noise. I mean, he's been right there. I think that, obviously when I look at it, I'm looking at the big names like I like to do. I think Brooks Koepka coming in and, he's playing well. He's coming back. Took some time off after the Open Championship.
He also tied for second in this thing.
Yeah, and he's played well on this golf course. And you gotta look at him or Dustin Johnson. I mean, the horses for the courses. I mean, this golf course is a long golf course. It's 74.
You can't ever count DJ out,
7,300 yards, 7,400 yards. Yeah, you just again, this is like the perfect fill for Josh Schneider because I mean, I'm looking at all the top lines, but I definitely like those two guys, and I even like Phil Mickelson a lot this week.
Yeah,
I think
I can see Phil.
He's always played this golf course really well. So I mean,
activating the calves.
He's going to have calf activation, and it's going to be on. I think that of the Olympians, I'm going to go with Hideki Matsuyama being the low Olympian.
And I think that's a good pick. I mean, because from your point of traveling from Japan back and forth, he can probably handle it the best.
And then I'm going to give you my dark horse this week, and that's Will Zalatoris. I think Will, this is his second WGC event, maybe that he's been able to play himself in off his major finishes, so still learning experiences. But I mean, the guy is going to be around. He's around right now at the top of the leaderboard every week. I do think, him being in kind of that area, which is close to Texas. I mean, basically, that Tennessee, Arkansas border that's right there, and Mississippi. And I mean, it's a southern feel that Memphis is. I could see him playing.
You can get him cheap too.
Zalatoris.
Yeah, and I tell you,
Yeah.
man, so my dad had a DraftKings team working where he had basically 5 of the top 6 or 7 guys, and then his last guy, 6th player, is Zalatoris. And Zalatoris missed the cut on him and really blew him from making some big money. So
Well, he's going to make the cut this week, and I think he plays well. So those are my picks right
he's
here.
been hurt, though. Did you know that?
No.
So he withdrew from the Open Championship because of a back injury, and he hasn't played well because he's been injured. So I don't know.
Let's go this week, Will. Come on, man.
he was
come
was
on, don't be hating on my man,
He was
Will.
caddying for Happy Gilmore and got hurt, I guess.
Well, you know, again, I think that this is a great TV event. I mean, you know, the WGCs, what they have done is really kind of released the whole global schedule of the PGA Tour, and they just revamped their whole run around, which, you know, who cares about all that stuff? I mean, I wish they would go back to just calendar year, you know. And
I agree.
You know, have the calendar year, but it's,
Before I forget, I need to ask you about the Barbasol. So did you see where they moved it?
Yeah, that's a great point.
That's great for Kentucky,
Oh,
right?
what a big thing for Kentucky. I mean, and have that as, you know, you're going to have premium players there now.
So if you don't know what I'm talking about, instead of being the same week as the British Open, the
off-field.
Barbasol is now going to be the week previous to the British Open. Now,
Right.
you're still going to miss some of your big guys that go over and play in the Scottish Open and
Right.
everything before the British Open, but it should open up the field to a lot better players.
Well, I wonder if that has that to where the same how the TPC used to do up there in Illinois is to where the winner or the low 5
Get into
the Open Championship.
gotta put that
Yeah,
in.
they have to. And so, I mean, you know, you're getting
Yeah.
I mean, the Barbasol is now just a chance to qualify for the British Open.
You've got to.
I mean, you know.
You've got to. If
What
you're
about-
the PGA Tour, you have to do that because that just
Well, it's, yeah.
helps your field tremendously.
Well, I would say so too. I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, you know, and that golf course is held up, and you know, it is a birdie fest. But there's a lot of birdie fest golf courses on the PGA Tour, and that's why we like to tune in and watch.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we want to watch what guys make birdies.
And
you know, when the
I guess
pros
the
look
crowds
bad,
have been good there, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Good enough. I mean, with COVID, I mean, it's hard
Yeah.
to tell, right? I mean, this was what, the third year or the second year? Third year. So it's been hard to tell. I mean,
Yeah.
1 year was no COVID. This year is
Right.
limited COVID. So I mean, it's been hard to tell. But that is great news for the Barbasol sponsorship for the game of golf in Kentucky for the PGA professionals.
Yep.
My peers and all they do down in Lexington and you know, the game of golf.
Yeah.
Wow.
good
I
stuff.
mean, it is good stuff. So game of golf in Kentucky is definitely in a great spot. We are on the national spotlight, just like Loopers for Life. You can check us out on our podcast. You can check us out on our Facebook page.
Apple.
You can check us out
Apple
on
Podcasts,
Apple. You can-
Spotify. You can find us anywhere right now.
Hey, it's Loopers for Life. Go to our YouTube page, go to our Facebook page, go to our Twitter, like us. We really appreciate you
Oh, yeah.
listening in on us.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to find my glasses so I can read these
They're
quotes
not here,
next
man.
time.
I'm telling you, they're not
I
here.
need to find them because, man, my chicken scratch right here. I
You
still
gonna need
don't-
these glasses,
Can I
for
read that one more time? It's so different. It's cooler than what I thought it was. I'm more proud than I ever thought I would be. It's the coolest thing I've ever been a part of.
Hey, you got it
Justin
that time.
Thomas. I had to put it all the way out here like this and read it right there. Hey, thank y'all for listening. Loopers for Life.
I'm not looking forward to getting old, John.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.